Hello, this is Sondra Oster Baras, bringing you a few words of Bible from the heart of Biblical Israel. This week's Torah portion is Beshalach, and it begins at the very end of chapter 13, when the children of Israel are finally leaving Egypt. And when we read the story of the parting of the Red Sea, it is extremely exciting. The miracle is absolutely amazing. And then we get to chapter 15. Chapter that is, we refer to it as the Song of Moses. And we read, then Moses and the children of Israel sang this song to God. And then we have the whole song. So first of all, the Hebrew word for song here is shirah, literally meaning to sing or song. It is the same word used for poetry. It is not the same word as praise, and there's actually a difference when it's also not the word for prayer. It's a very specific kind of, it is a kind of prayer, but it's a very specific kind of prayer. A song, and we have a few of them in the Bible. We have Moses sings a song, and there's also a song of Moses at the very end of Deuteronomy. We have the song of David. We have the song of Hannah. There's a few of these sorts of songs, and they're always poetry, not prose. And if I were to define song more specifically, at least this type of song, the song that is in and of itself thanking God, praising God, but beyond words of praise, a song will be an outburst of emotion, of passion. And that's why the word song is there, because it is very emotional. In the same way, when we know if we take words and we put them to music, they will very often have a deeper emotional feel to them than just reading words. And particularly poetry is always seen as a way of expressing the deeper reaches of the soul, passions, emotions, than prose. And so that's very much what we have here when we have a song. And let's just see some of the words, of course, that reflect that. I'm not going to read the whole song. You can do that, with your own Bibles, but just listen to some of this. I will sing to the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously. We read in verse in verse 1. In verse 2, this is my God, and I will glorify him. Okay? And then, of course, one of my favorite, and then there's, of course, beautiful descriptions and very descriptive, very, very detailed and emotional descriptions, not just what happened. We know what happened from the previous chapter, but the effect of what happens. And one of the things that Moses expresses here is the amazing effect that this parting of the Red Sea, this great miracle of the Exodus from Egypt, this effect that it had on the surrounding nations. And I read from verse 14. The peoples here, they tremble. Agony grips the dwellers in Philistia. How now are the clans of Edom dismayed. The tribes of Moab, trembling grips them. All the dwellers in Canaan are... Okay, here's where we have to pause, because the translation says, all the dwellers in Canaan are aghast. And then, of course, the next verse, terror and dread descend upon them. But the Hebrew word that this word aghast is translating is a word that is namogu. And what's particularly interesting is this is a very unique word. It's almost never used. It's actually quite popular, or not popular, but it is well known in modern Hebrew. But biblically, it is almost never used. Where we do find it is in the book of Joshua, where Rahab is speaking to the spies, and what she tells them essentially reflects this part of the Song of Moses, or the Song of the Sea, where we learn of how fearful and the effect that this exodus from Egypt and later on the defeat of the Amorites, how that struck the people of Jericho with fear and with awe. And in her talking about it, she actually quotes this word. She uses this word, namogu, okay? And she says as follows, I know, this is verse 9. I know that the Lord has given the country to you, because dread of you has fallen upon us, and all the inhabitants of the land are quaking before you. Now that quaking, see, and here I really take issue with these translators, because it's a unique word used twice, and in Exodus the word is translated as trembling, and here it's translated as aghast. It's the same word. And frankly, it doesn't really mean either one. There's no question that the effect of what's happening is one of fear and one of trembling. But what the word actually means, well, let's say in modern Hebrew, it means a sort of dissipating, melting, disappearing, okay? In biblical Hebrew, it would be more melting with fear, okay? Which you can see in this idea of the dissipating. You have something that suddenly kind of melts away. It disappears. And I think what you have here, the use of this word, is a very beautiful, very descriptive word. It's much more than saying these people were afraid. It's they melted away from fear. And what that is basically saying is that these are powerful nations, nations that saw themselves as all-powerful, as able to withstand any external enemy. And here comes the God of Israel and melts them away, not just melting them in fear, but kind of crumbling all their defenses, where they realize it's not just about fear, it's about we cannot stand up against this power. Of course, that results in fear, but the actual expression of this is much more profound. It is a power standing up against the power of the God of Israel and realizing we can't compete. We disappear. We are nothing. We melt away in the face of this power. I just want to end with a short comment on the Song of Miriam. Because we have this very long song that Moses sings with all the people of Israel. And then Miriam steps out with the women, and we have exactly 2 verses that describe this. Then Miriam the prophetess, Aaron's sister, took a timbrel or a tambourine in her hand, and all the women went out after her and danced with tambourines. And Miriam chanted for them, "Sing to the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously. Horse and driver he has hurled into the sea." Now these 2 lines of Miriam's song is really a summary and actually quotes a bit from Moses' song. Where is all the detail? Where is all the emotional depth? Well, Miriam doesn't have to repeat anything. She needs to summarize what he said. But what is it that Miriam brings to this that wasn't there before? We have this whole long song, much greater descriptions, much more passionate. What is it that Miriam brings to this? She brings the tambourines. She brings the dance. She brings the expression of joy and of gratitude, not just through words, but through the act of dancing. And I might even picture if the song of Moses was more of a chant, that perhaps Miriam put this into a tune that was joyful and that was something you could dance to and something you could shake your tambourines to. And of course, all this just goes to create an even deeper understanding of what this song is. It's a song of praise. It's a song of thanks to God. But let's remember, it is a song. It is a song that we dance and we sing to and use it to express with our whole beings how grateful we are for this amazing miracle, the salvation of the nation of Israel, the exodus from Egypt. Have a wonderful weekend. Shabbat Shalom.
I hope you enjoyed that video, and we'd like to be sure you're getting all of our video content. So just click on the subscribe button below as well as on the notification bell, and that way you will have easy access to all our material. We look forward to staying in touch with you. God bless you and have a wonderful day.